Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's Wednesday night. It's reading through the Tanak night, 29th of May, 2024. Okay, we'll be picking up where we left off last night, reading out of the book of Jasher. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. We have right at 1,000 videos or so with a lot of information. You can check them out. We're ready to divide them. These videos will connect dots for you, lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel, we have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. Okay. Our hours of operation is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we have we on at 7 to 9 Eastern Time, Central Time. I mean, then we come back on Friday nights. We have our men Clubhouse. We have our men's advanced Bible study night, and this from 7 to 9. Then we have 2 Shabbat classes, one in the morning and one in the evening. The morning Shabbat class it starts at 10, normally lasts till about 12. And then we got an evening Shabbat class, which lasts about an hour. It's from 6 to 7, okay, Central Time. Okay. With that being said, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanak being the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. They consist of our laws, our statutes, the judgments that we're supposed to perform as Hebrew Israelites, and our culture, way of life. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our reading through the Tanak, okay, broadcast. So we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence. We'll deal with a prayer, read the Psalms, we'll have some current events, some need-to-know information. Then we open up for Q&A for anybody have any questions or comments, dialogue. Then we go into our topic, which is we'll be reading out of the book of Jasher, reading and breaking down scripture, okay? So this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before thee at this time. We are thankful for the knowledge that you have and the understanding that you have given us up until this point. And we seek thy face, okay, that you shower us with peace, enlightenment, and a sense of togetherness. Oh Lord, we see thy hand in the affairs of the world, and we know and understand that what you have spoken in the past will surely come to pass. Turn not thy face from us, but hearken unto our plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. All praise unto you. Okay? Read the Psalm. Okay? Okay? I'll read Psalm 105. This God's wondrous works in behalf of Israel. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord. Call upon his name and make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him. Sing praises, songs unto him. Walk ye of all his wondrous. Talk ye of all his wondrous works. Glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. Seek the Lord in his strength. Seek his face evermore. Remember his marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders, and the judgments of his mouth. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen. Excuse me. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to thousands of generations. which the covenant he made with Abraham and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, Unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. And when they were but a few men in number, yea, very few, and strangers in it, when they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people, he suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sake, saying, Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. Moreover, he called for a famine upon the land. He brake the whole staff of bread. He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with feathers. He was laid in iron until the time that his word came. The word of the Lord tried him. The king sent and loosed him, even the rulers of the people, and let him go free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his substance, to bind his princes at his pleasure and teach his senators wisdom. Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham, and he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. He turned their hearts to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants. He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen. They showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. He sent darkness and made it dark, and they rebelled not against his word. He turned their waters into blood and slew their flesh. The land brought forth frogs in abundance in chambers of their kings. He spake, and there came divers sorts of flies and lice in all their coasts. He gave them hail for rain and flaming fire in their land. He smote their vines also and their fig trees, and he brake the trees of their coasts. He spake, and the locust came, and the caterpillar, and that without number, and did eat up all the herbs in their land, and devour the fruit of their ground. He smote also all the firstborn in their land, and the chief of all their strength. He brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among their tribes. Egypt was glad when they departed, for the fear of them fell upon them. He spread a cloud for a covenant, and fire to give light in the night. The people asked, and he brought quails, and satisfied them with the bread of heaven. He opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. They ran in dry places like a river, for he remembered his holy promise, and Abraham his servant, and he brought forth his people with joy, and his chosen with gladness, and gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people, that they might observe his statutes, keep his laws, and praise ye the Lord. So that was Psalm 105, God wondrous works in behalf of Israel. So, I mean, just that psalm right there alone, just it sums up who the Lord of hosts is when you read it with in the proper context. So I was looking at one verse. Let me see what it says. See, says he gave them the land of Ham, and if you go back to Genesis 15, I keep on showing you over and over again that he told Israel there's going to be sojourners in the land that wasn't theirs. So when you read this right here, 27, they showed signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. So where they was captivity, where they were being afflicted at, is in the land of Ham. With strangers in the land hand, with their land. Just like the verse said, Genesis 15 said that they're going to be on land, strangers in the land that's not theirs, and they're going to be afflicted 400 years. So they was in the land of Ham. Okay. Anybody got any comments?
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. As you was reading this song, the title says God Wondrous Work, right? So as you were reading that, all through this psalm just reminds me or says to me, it's a call, to praise him, right? So starting at verse 8, where he speaks about the covenant, we see again, he tells us about the unconditional covenant that he had with Abraham, and then turns around and also explains it concerning Isaac and Jacob. He reaffirms that. So that's something we should, never forget. And even with Joseph, where he speaks of Joseph in starting with verse 17, where he used Joseph to save Israel. Yes, sir.
Right. So you said Joseph ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ain't that something?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
Then turns around and tell them how he fed them quail, and angel food. Ain't that something?
Yes. Praises.
Okay. Is that something? Okay, so we go to our current events. Okay.
I chose Wix.
Economy look like if the dominance of the dollar came to an end? In a multipolar world, the idea of the dollar ruling the economy seems less convincing. Consequently, the world's leading economies need to take action. This is precisely what China and India, two of the economically leading nations, have done. They have decided to abandon the dollar and conduct trade using their local currencies. However, experts predict a possible backlash, potentially including sanctions from the United States. The question then arises, will these two nations be able to withstand such pressures, or will they eventually capitulate? Let's find out. India and China have agreed to conduct import transactions using their local currencies instead of the US dollar. This agreement, involving two of the largest economies within the BRICS group, marks a defining moment in the ongoing efforts to reduce dependency on the US dollar in international trade. This move is not just a bilateral arrangement, but a strategic step towards economic independence and stability for both nations. The BRICS group, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has long sought to diminish the dominance of Western financial systems. By choosing to settle trade in their local currencies, India and China are taking a concrete step towards this goal. Let's talk about it in detail, what really happened. India and China, two of the most influential members of the BRICS group, have agreed to use their local currencies for conducting import transactions. This agreement was confirmed by the Maldives Economic Development Minister, Mohammed Said, who highlighted the Maldives' role in facilitating this groundbreaking deal. The arrangement stipulates that 50% of the Maldives' new import bill, totaling $1.5 billion, will be settled in Indian rupees INR and Chinese yuan CNY. This equates to approximately $750 million worth of transactions conducted in local currencies, significantly reducing the need for US dollar-denominated trade. And the rationale behind the move. The primary motivation behind this agreement is to reduce dependency on the US dollar, a currency that has traditionally dominated international trade. By shifting to local currencies, India and China aim to bolster their economic sovereignty and reduce vulnerabilities associated with dollar fluctuations. This move is part of a broader strategy within BRICS to promote economic independence and stability by fostering stronger financial ties among member nations. For India and China, the economic benefits are substantial. Utilizing local currencies can lower transaction costs by eliminating the need for currency conversion, which often involves fees and fluctuating exchange rates. Furthermore, it can enhance the stability of bilateral trade by reducing exposure to dollar volatility, which can impact the cost of imports and exports. But what role is Maldives playing in this? The Maldives plays a crucial role in this agreement, acting as a mediator and facilitator. The country's involvement underscores its strategic importance in regional trade dynamics. Minister Seed's confirmation of the deal highlights the Maldives' proactive stance in fostering closer economic ties with its larger neighbors, India and China. This collaboration is expected to benefit the Maldives by reducing its reliance on the US dollar and enhancing its economic stability. This agreement is not an isolated event, but rather a continuation of a broader trend among BRICS nations to de-dollarize their economies. The de-dollarization strategy aims to diminish the global dominance of the US dollar by promoting the use of local currencies in international trade. This approach is driven by several factors, including the desire to reduce exposure to US monetary policy, which can have far-reaching implications for countries heavily reliant on the dollar. Within the BRICS framework, there has been a concerted effort to explore alternatives to the US-dominated financial system. This includes initiatives such as establishing the New Development Bank (NDB), which aims to finance infrastructure and sustainable development projects within BRICS and other emerging economies, using local currencies wherever possible. The India-China agreement is a tangible manifestation of this broader strategy, demonstrating the commitment of BRICS nations to fostering a more balanced and multipolar global financial system. Now the question is, what will be the immediate economic impacts of this? First, let's talk about its impact on India. For India, the agreement represents an opportunity to enhance its trade relations with China, its largest trading partner. By settling trade in Indian rupees, India can reduce its foreign exchange risks and strengthen the internationalization of the rupee. This could lead to increased stability in import costs and help Indian businesses plan their finances more effectively. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Africa's geopolitics, economy, and changing landscape. Let's continue now. China, on the other hand, stands to benefit from the increased use of the yuan in international trade. As part of its long-term strategy, China has been actively promoting the internationalization of the yuan to reduce its dependency on the US dollar. This agreement with India is a significant step towards achieving that goal. By increasing the yuan's presence in global trade, China can enhance its financial influence and promote the yuan as a viable alternative to the US dollar.
Buick. Exceptional by design.
And what will be its impact on the dollar? One of the most notable impacts of this agreement is the potential reduction in demand for the US dollar. Given the substantial trade volumes between India, China, and the Maldives, the shift to local currencies could lead to a significant decrease in dollar-denominated transactions. This reduction in demand for the dollar could have broader implications for the global forex market, potentially affecting the dollar's value and its role as the world's primary reserve currency. The India-China agreement is likely to set a precedent for other BRICS nations and potentially other countries seeking to reduce their reliance on the US dollar. If successful, this model could be replicated in other bilateral and multilateral trade agreements within the BRICS framework and beyond. Such developments could lead to a more diversified global financial system, with multiple currencies playing significant roles in international trade.
Okay, anybody got any comments on that?
You say if you walked into a bank and the teller told you, sorry, we do not accept that check. They're declining checks. They don't want you to bring in a check because they will not give you money. They will take it and they will tell you, well, gotta wait. Well, that's exactly what is happening. And it's happening with cashier's checks, not just regular handwritten checks from person to person, but a cashier's check from one banking institution to another. Banks are declining them. I'll explain exactly what's going on and what just happened to me just recently in just a moment. But all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So the banking industry at this time is in a very interesting place. We knew before that it's tough to walk into a bank and ask for just hundreds or thousands of dollars from your own bank account because banks were saying that, sorry, we cannot give you that money. We have a limit. If you want money, you need to place an order and we will order the money in and you can pick it up potentially tomorrow. That's what we've been facing. Now, here's the interesting part. People have been telling me they cannot cash a check. One person even said they went into their bank with a check and the check was from another bank. Now, I don't want to say what bank this is because I haven't heard any reports on this, but the bank that they had a check from, the bank that they went to said they can't cash that because they don't believe that bank is good for it. Okay, so this just happened this past week. I don't know, again, I haven't heard any reports on this, so I'm not going to discuss that too much further, but that is troubling. When a bank says, no, we're not going to cash that bank's check because I don't think that bank is good for it. That's interesting. But listen to this. This person wrote to me, I went to my bank, Wells Fargo, today to cash a cashier's check that I received from a client, and you wouldn't believe what they told me. They said I couldn't cash the check. They were declining the funds, and the teller then told me that they have a policy that they can't release any funds until 72 hours after the transaction. I thought cashier's checks were the same as cash. Now, that is what I thought as well, that cashier's checks are the same as cash. You go to a bank or financial institution and you say, okay, I need a cashier's check. And you're going to pay $4, $5, maybe $10 for that check. But it's pretty much as good as cash. So if you take that cashier's check and you go pay for a car, right? Pay, when I purchased my last home, one of the things I used was a cashier's check. Okay? That's just what you do. Because a cashier's check, instead of walking in to the title company and where I have, $500,000 in cash, no, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to have one piece of paper, a cashier's check, because it's as good as cash, right? At least that's what I thought. But why are banks declining cashier's checks and telling us no, they're not going to release the funds immediately? Well, listen to this person. This person says, have you ever had a bank deny you funds from a cashier's check? This happened to my wife this morning, and I couldn't believe it. We have never been denied money like this before. Here's the interesting part. Is it the cashier's checks that are causing an issue? Is it because the cashier's checks are potentially fraudulent? Are people scamming banks? Or is it because the banks don't have the money on hand? Think about that for a second. Now, I'll give you my story in just a moment because I went and tested this. I went to one bank and I got a cashier's check. It was for like $30,000 or $40,000. I got a cashier's check for that, and I took it to another bank. Okay, I will address what they told me and how much money they were able to give me immediately. So I'll address that in just a moment. But listen to this one. This person says, this is getting really strange. My credit union told me today that they will no longer provide funds immediately to my account from a cashier's check. This is how I always get paid. They say there's too much fraud going on and they can't risk losing money. Now, I understand that. I understand that banks cannot risk losing money because banks are already on the verge in many cases of a simple collapse, okay? Simply because of the commercial mortgage market. That's hurting banks immensely. Now, what's interesting though is these banks, credit union, is telling this person they will no longer provide funds immediately from a cashier's check. Again, isn't a cashier's check the same as cash? That's what I thought. Now, let me tell you my story, okay? So I went into a bank just recently, and I got a cashier's check. It was like $30,000 or $40,000. I just wanted to test this out and see, is this really happening? Okay, I just did this a couple days ago. Or, no, today's Wednesday, so I just did it yesterday, not Tuesday. Now, did it yesterday, Tuesday morning. I took this cashier's check, and I went into another bank, which I do have an account with. I went to that bank, and I deposited the check. And I asked them, could I cash this? Told me no. Can't cash it. I said, okay, that's fine. Because if I went to cash a cashier's check, $30,000 or $40,000, they didn't have it. They did not have that money. Okay, that's fine. Here's the next thing I asked them. Okay, so you'll just put that on my account? The lady says yes. Okay, that's perfectly fine, because I'm not going to go and take the cash out. I'm going to use a card, use my debit card to make a purchase. She said, okay. She goes, how much of the funds do you need? I said, all of it. I need all of it. And she said, well, sorry, we're actually going to have to place a hold on this cashier's check for 72 hours. But, I can actually give you some of that money. How much of it do you need? Again, I rephrased, all of it. She said, well, we can give you up to $5,000. $5,000 by the end of business today, you will have that in your account. Keep in mind, the account that I put the money in had much more than what the check was worth. So I covered the check. But that's the interesting part, is that banks, and this bank, told me that no, I couldn't cash it. It was too much. Okay, I understand that. And that's fine. But then they told me that no, even though it's a cashier's check, which again, in my opinion, is the same as cash, they told me no. I do not have access to 100% of the funds until 72 hours after. They said they were going to give me $5,000 at the end of business day yesterday, so it was available this morning. $5,000.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom.
Slowly going down.
Yes, sir. I was going to say, I think that it has a lot to do with, them mentioning a lot of banks are closing, right? And it's a lot of things we don't know about cashier's check. They're really considered third-party checks. So they do that just like any other big check that you may get from, just say, your 401k or whatever. They'll give you, each bank is different. They'll give you so much money put in your account, and then, like he said, it's a hold on the rest for whatever, 48 hours or 72 hours. It depends on your bank. Then the rest will be deposited. And like he said, I just think it's because banks don't have the money. They're not sure that it's going to clear, so they're not going to upfront give you $30,000 or $40,000.
Right. And then you never know what's going on behind the scenes with the bank. They ain't telling you nothing. Right. Okay, somebody got it right here. How can they pay their debts of the county if the money became low? Well, I think the cashier's check or money order, he was just saying 72 hours. They pay with it, but they're going to give them 72 hours for the clear. Okay. If it don't clear, they got still have to pay whatever it is they have to pay. Okay. Wow. Everybody good on that? Got some need to know information right here. I thought this was pretty interesting.
In a dramatic turn of events, Geopolitical tensions have reached a boiling point following the untimely death of Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi. The tragedy occurred when the helicopter transporting Raisi crashed under suspicious circumstances, leading to a cascade of international ramifications. The situation escalated further when it was revealed that the pilot of the ill-fated helicopter was allegedly an Israeli agent. This revelation has prompted Russia to issue a stark warning to Israel, signifying a significant shift in the complex web of alliances and hostilities in the region. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The death of President Raisi has plunged Iran into a state of mourning and political uncertainty. Raisi, who was a controversial yet powerful figure in Iranian politics, had been instrumental in shaping Iran's domestic and foreign policies. His leadership was marked by a firm stance against Western influences and a strong alignment with Russia and China. His unexpected demise has not only left a power vacuum in Tehran, but has also triggered a wave of speculation and conspiracy theories about the circumstances of the crash. Initial reports of the helicopter crash indicated a tragic accident. But as investigators delved deeper, unsettling details began to emerge. It was soon discovered that the pilot, who had been operating under an assumed identity, was allegedly linked to Israeli intelligence. This revelation has ignited a firestorm of accusations and counter-accusations, significantly straining the already fragile relationship between Israel and Iran. The Iranian government has vowed to conduct a thorough investigation and has hinted at retaliatory measures if the involvement of Israeli agents is confirmed. Russia, a close ally of Iran, has not remained silent in the face of these developments. In a shocking and forceful statement, the Kremlin has issued a stern warning to Israel, urging it to refrain from actions that could further destabilize the region. Moscow's support for Tehran has been unwavering, and this incident has only served to solidify their alliance. Russia's warning to Israel underscores the high stakes involved and the potential for a broader conflict if tensions are not managed carefully. The international community is closely watching the unfolding drama, with reactions varying widely. In the United States, officials have expressed concern over the increasing volatility in the Middle East, but have refrained from taking a definitive stance on the allegations against Israel. European leaders, meanwhile, are calling for calm and restraint, emphasizing the need for a thorough and impartial investigation into the helicopter crash. The United Nations has also weighed in, urging all parties to avoid escalating the situation and to seek diplomatic solutions to their differences. Within Israel, the reaction has been one of defiance mixed with caution. The Israeli government has categorically denied any involvement in the helicopter crash, dismissing the allegations as baseless and politically motivated. However, the incident has sparked a heated debate within Israeli political and military circles about the potential repercussions of their covert operations and the risks associated with their intelligence activities. Some factions within Israel argue that their actions are necessary to counter Iran's influence in the region, while others warn that such strategies could backfire and lead to unintended consequences. The impact of Raisi's death and the subsequent revelations extends beyond the immediate geopolitical arena. The incident has also influenced the global oil market, with prices experiencing significant fluctuations amid fears of instability in the Middle East. Investors are wary of the potential for a broader conflict that could disrupt oil supplies, further complicating the economic landscape already burdened by existing tensions between major oil-producing nations. In Tehran, the atmosphere is charged with grief and anger. Public demonstrations have erupted, with many Iranians demanding justice for Raisi and calling for a strong response against those responsible for his death. The Iranian military has been placed on high alert, and there are reports of increased troop movements along the borders. The political leadership in Iran is under immense pressure to act decisively, both to honor Raisi's legacy and to maintain its own credibility. Amidst this backdrop, Russia's role as a mediator and supporter of Iran has come to the forefront. Moscow's warning to Israel is a clear indication of its willingness to stand by Tehran, even at the risk of exacerbating tensions with other regional and global powers. Russia's strategic interests in the Middle East, particularly its military presence in Syria and its economic ties with Iran, make it a key player in any potential resolution of the crisis. The Kremlin's message to Israel is not just a warning, but also a statement of intent. signaling its readiness to protect its allies and uphold its geopolitical interests. The situation has also drawn reactions from other regional actors. Saudi Arabia, a longtime adversary of Iran, has expressed muted concern over the developments, wary of any escalation that could threaten its own security and economic interests. Turkey, which has complex relations with both Iran and Israel, has called for restraint and diplomacy, positioning itself as a potential mediator in the conflict. The Gulf states, meanwhile, are closely monitoring the situation, aware that any major conflict in the region could have far-reaching implications for their stability and security. As the investigation into the helicopter crash continues, the focus is on gathering evidence and uncovering the truth behind the incident. Forensic experts are meticulously examining the wreckage, while intelligence agencies from multiple countries are sifting through data and communications that could shed light on the pilot's background and possible motives. The involvement of international bodies in the investigation aims to ensure transparency and credibility, though the highly charged political environment makes impartiality a challenging goal. The death of President Raisi and the subsequent geopolitical fallout highlight the precarious nature of international relations in the Middle East. The region, already fraught with historical animosities and power struggles, faces a new layer of complexity with the alleged involvement of an Israeli agent in the incident. The potential for miscalculation and unintended escalation is high.
Okay, any comments on that? Anybody been following that? Okay. So we'll open it up for some questions, comments. Anybody have anything they want to talk about? They came across YouTube, anything that watching the videos on Prophets of Awakening, in classes. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything? Looking for some answers. Okay. We was talking earlier about how you never know what's going on behind the scenes with these banks. Well, it's the same thing with these countries, especially with the thing that's going on with the BRICS countries and the U.S. We can see that the U.S. is falling, but we just don't know just how bad it is and how quickly they'll fall. Because all those things are behind the scenes. So I'll play this right here and then we'll start reading out of Joshua.
Last week, Russian Sherpa and Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov made a strong and clear statement about the boycott activity that Uncle Sam is systematically perpetrating against the BRICS. He said, the US doesn't like everything that's out of its hands, so it's doing behind-the-scenes work to weaken BRICS. So what hidden tactics is the US using to weaken BRICS? Why is the US so invested in undermining BRICS, and what could be the potential consequences of these actions in global politics? In today's video, we are diving into the complex and often covered strategies that the US employs to maintain its global influence, particularly focusing on its interactions with the BRICS nations. Ryabkov went over and added, Washington doesn't like everything that's beyond its control, and it doesn't like anything that's not under its direct control. If anything goes beyond the one-size-fits-all model of American leadership and American hegemony, Washington will reject it. It's important to understand these dynamics because they affect international relations and have a big impact on global economic and political stability. Come join us as we take a closer look at how these power struggles shape our world and uncover the hidden tactics behind them. There are efforts being made, including behind-the-scenes plots to undermine BRICS, to disrupt projects, and to complicate the activities of its institutions. And that includes the New Development Bank, Ryabkov said. It's no secret that BRICS interacts with powerful states that have long been involved in international affairs and are well aware of US attempts to maintain its global influence. We have got our own channels, mechanisms, and forms of cooperation with each of the BRICS members, which keep developing despite and in spite of US resistance. Ryabkov said. The Russian deputy foreign minister said that the BRICS countries are trying to find ways to make things more sustainable overall. As early as last year, it was clear that the US and the collective West were eager to see the BRICS gain more popularity and political and commercial influence. This was well before the Johannesburg summit, as we reported in a previous video. But at the time, our analysis might have seemed a bit premature to some folks. Now, those concerns we raised have become even more real. When you look closer, it turns out that the hybrid warfare being carried out by the collective West isn't limited to the BRICS countries. It's happening in all countries that don't agree with Western policies. First, let us define what we mean by hybrid warfare. This term is still widely used by Americans to blame political opponents and justify their often quite questionable policy choices. One name often associated with popularizing the term is that of Frank G. Hoffman, who was, wait for it, a US military analyst. Hoffman described hybrid warfare as a combination of conventional, irregular, terrorist, and criminal warfare integrated into one coherent threat.
When you drink a glass of water, you expect it to be clean, pure, and not contaminated with toxic chemicals, but you may not realize.
Does this ring a bell recently? Hybrid warfare refers to the combined use of different techniques and tools, including conventional military attacks, guerrilla warfare, cyber attacks, disinformation, and other forms of psychological and social manipulation. The goal is to destabilize and weaken the opponent in a more effective and less predictable way than traditional conflicts. Well then, how does the US strategy affect global politics? As usual, however, in the midst of the projective syndrome, it is the US and the rest of the collective West that do these things first with the aim of conditioning the international geopolitical balance. Our investigation into US and BRICS relations uncovers surprising details you need to know. So let's put the puzzle pieces together to have a full picture of what is going on. And please share your thoughts with us to enrich the discussion. Ryabkov's comments were echoed by the Libyan foreign minister at the Russia Islamic World Kazan Forum. He said, a hybrid war is being waged against Russia. The collective West wants a unipolar world in order to protect its privileges and interests. But now is a different time, and the principles upheld by the West are crumbling. So, as I said, this perception isn't just in BRICS countries. It's also the rest of the global South. Look at what's going on in Georgia, for instance. The threats towards Georgian MPs show that the US is getting hysterical over its waning influence. The US, European Union, and NATO have issued statements criticizing the recently passed foreign agents bill in Georgia. At the same time, foreign ministers from Iceland, Lithuania, and Estonia took part in protest rallies against the legislation in Tbilisi. US Assistant Secretary of State Jim O'Brien said on May 14th that Georgian MPs could face sanctions for undermining democracy over passing the bill. However, the law, which required Georgian media and NGOs to register as pursuing the interests of a foreign power if they received over 20% of their funding from abroad, is similar to the US own Foreign Agents Registration Act, which has been in place since 1938. According to the Georgian Prime Minister, the European Commissioner for Neighborhood and Enlargement, Oliver Varela, threatened him in a classic mafia style with the fate of Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico, who survived in assassination attempt. Fico was shot several times by a political extremist angry over his suspension of armed aid to Ukraine. Repeatedly labeling a leader as a traitorous pro-Russian dictator can influence psychologically vulnerable individuals, potentially inciting them to violence to save the country and bring justice. He also said they want to make Georgia a proxy against Russia. There is serious interest.
매월 프런트, 다음에 SNS를 타들.
Okay, so in so many words, America's like a scald dog. They see that they're going down, so they're gonna do. They trying. You might see anything within the next 6 months or so because they're going down so fast. You know, all the African countries and turning away from them. Israel, the same predicament. So you should something is going to happen here real soon because they both, you know, they fall. They're in a free fall. Any comments? Okay. Like I said, we're going to be reading out of the book of Joshua. I'll pick up where I left off last night. It's chapter 89. Okay. Chapter 89. Okay. Somebody want to read that?
Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. Joshua chapter 89. Then spoke Joshua this song on the day that the Lord had given the Amorites into the hand of Joshua and the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of all Israel, Thou hast done mighty things, O Lord. Thou hast performed great deeds. Who is like unto thee? My lips shall sing to thy name. My goodness and my fortress, my high tower. I will sing a new song unto thee. With thanksgiving will I sing to thee. Thou art the strength of my salvation. All the things of the earth shall praise thee. The princes of the world shall sing to thee. The children of Israel shall rejoice in thy salvation. They shall sing and praise thy power. To thee, O Lord, did we confide. We said, Thou art our God, for thou wast our shelter and strong tower against our enemies. To thee we cried and were not ashamed. In thee we trusted and were delivered. When we cried unto thee, thou didst hear our voice. Thou didst deliver our soul from the sword. Thou didst show unto us thy grace. Thou didst give us thy salvation. Thou didst rejoice our hearts with thy strength. 7. Thou didst go forth for our salvation with thine arm. Thou didst redeem thy people. Thou didst answer us from the heavens of thy holiness. Thou didst save us from 10,000s of people. The sun and moon stood still in heaven, and thou didst stand in thy wrath against our oppressors, and didst command by thy judgments over them. All the princes of the earth stood up, the kings of the nations had gathered themselves together. They were not moved at thy presence. They desired thy battles. 10. Thou didst rise against them in thine anger, and didst bring down thy wrath upon them. Thou didst destroy them in thy anger, and cut them off in thy heart. Nations have been consumed with thy fury. Kingdoms have declined because of thy wrath, and thou didst wound kings in the day of thine anger. Thou didst pour out thy fury upon them. Thy wrathful anger took hold of them. Thou didst turn their iniquity upon them, and didst cut them off in their wickedness. They did spread a trap. They fell therein. In the net they hid. Their foot was caught. Thine hand was ready for all thine enemies who said, Through their sword they possessed the land. Through their arm they dwelt in the city. Thou didst fill their faces with shame. Thou didst bring their horns down to the ground. Thou didst terrify them in thy wrath, and didst destroy them in thine anger. The earth trembled and shook at the sound of thy storm over them. Thou didst not withhold their souls from death, and didst bring down their lives to the grave. Thou didst pursue them in thy storm. Thou didst consume them in thy whirlwind. Thou didst turn their reign into hell. They fell in deep pits so that they could not rise. 17. Their carcasses were like rubbish cast out in the middle of the streets. They were consumed and destroyed in thy anger. Thou didst save thy people with thy might. Therefore our hearts rejoice in thee. Our souls exalt in thy salvation. Our tongues shall relate thy might. We will sing and praise thy wondrous works. For thou didst save us from our enemy. Thou didst deliver us from those who rose up against us. Thou didst destroy them from before us and depress them beneath our feet. Thus shall all thine enemies perish, O Lord, and the wicked shall be like a chaff driven by the wind, and they beloved shall be like trees planted by the waters. 23. So Joshua and all Israel with him returned to the camp in Gilgad, after having smitten all the kings, so that not a remnant was left of them. And the 5 kings fled alone on foot from battle, and hid themselves in a cave. And Joshua sought for them in the field of battle, and did not find them. And it was afterwards told to Joshua, saying, The kings are found, and behold, they are hidden in a cave. And Joshua said, Appoint men to be at the mouth of the cave to guard them, lest they take themselves away. And the children of Israel did so. And Joshua called to all of Israel and said to the officers of battle, Place your feet upon the necks of the kings. And Joshua said, So shall the Lord do to all your enemies. And Joshua commanded afterwards that they should slay the kings and cast them into the cave, and to put great stones at the mouth of the cave. And Joshua went after all the people that were with him on that day to Makadiah. Excuse me if I mispronounced that. And he smote it with the edge of the sword. And he utterly destroyed the souls and all belongings to the city. And he did to the king and people thereof as he had done to Jericho. And he passed from there to Lebanon, and he fought against it, and the Lord delivered it into his hands. And Joshua smote it with the edge of the sword, and all the souls thereof, and he did it, and the king thereof, as he had done to Jericho. 32. And from there he passed on Languish to fight against it. And Horam, king of Gaza, went up to assist the men of Languish, and Joshua smote him and his people until there was none left to him. And Joshua took Languish and all the people thereof, and he did it as he had done in Lebanon. And Joshua passed from there to Eglon, and he took that also, and he smote it, and all the people thereof with the edge of the sword. And from there he passed to Hebron, and fought against it, and took it, and utterly destroyed it. And he returned from there with all Israel to Debir, and fought against it, and smote it with the edge of the sword. And he destroyed every soul in it; he left none remaining. And he did to it and the king thereof as he had done to Jericho. 37. And Joshua smote all the kings of the Amorites from Kadesh Barnea and Azah, and he took their country at once, for the Lord had fought for Israel. And Joshua with all Israel came to the camp to Gilgad. When at that time Jabin, king of Chazar, heard all that Joshua had done to the kings of the Amorites, Jabin sent to Jabat, king of Midian, and to Laban, king of Shimron, and to Japhal, king of Oxaphas, and to all the kings of the Amorites, Come quickly to us and help us, that we may smite the children of Israel before they come upon us, and do unto us as they have done to the kings of the Amorites. And all these kings hearkened to the words of Jabin, the king of Chazar. And they went forth with all their camps, 17 kings, and their people were as numerous as the sands on the seashore, together with horses and chariots innumerable. And they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom, and they were met together to fight against Israel. 42. And the Lord said to Joshua, Fear them not, for tomorrow about this time I will deliver them up all slain before you. Thou shalt haul their horses and burn their chariots with fire. And Joshua with all the men of war came suddenly upon them, and smote them, and they fell into their hands, for the Lord had delivered them into the hands of the children of Israel. And so the children of Israel pursued all these kings with their camps and smote them until there was none left of them. And Joshua did to them as the Lord had spoken to him. 45. And Joshua returned at that time to Hazor and smote it with the sword and destroyed every soul in it and burned it with fire. And from Hazor Joshua passed to Shimron and smote it and utterly destroyed it. From there he passed Oxaphas, and he did it, as he had done to Shimron. From there he passed to Adullam, and he smote all the people in it. And he did to Adullam as he had done to Oxaphas and to Shimron. And he passed from them all the cities of the kings which he had smitten, and he smote all the people that were left of them, and he utterly destroyed them. Only their booty and cattle the Israelites took to themselves as prey, but every human being they smote. They suffered not a soul to live. 50. As the Lord had commanded Moses, so did Joshua all Israel. They failed not in anything. So Joshua and all the children of Israel smote the whole land of Canaan, as the Lord had commanded them, and smote all their kings, being 31 kings, and the children of Israel took their whole country. Besides the kingdoms of Shion and Og, which are on the other side of Jordan, which Moses had smitten many cities. And Moses gave them to the Reubenites and the Gadites, and to half of the tribe of Manasseh. And Joshua smote all the kings that were on this side of Jordan to the west, and gave them for an inheritance to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe of Israel. For 5 years did Joshua carry on the war with these kings, and he gave their cities to the Israelites, and the land became tranquil from battle throughout the cities of the Amorites and the Canaanites. That was Jasher chapter 89.
Okay, got any comments?
In verses 15, 16, I have a question on that. Is that in reference to Ezekiel?
What's that?
Chapter 1, verse 16. Thou didst pursue them in thy storm. Thou didst consume them in thy whirlwind. Thou didst turn them rain into hail. They fell in deep pits, so they could not rise. I want to say Ezekiel.
Okay, right. Yeah, the whirlwind, chapter 1 of Ezekiel.
Yes, sir. I couldn't think of the chapter. Yes, sir. Ezekiel chapter 1. And also what we went over last night in verse 23. So Joshua and all Israel went with him, returned to the camp in Gilgad after having smitten all the kings, so that not a remnant was left of them, which was read in reference to Judges chapter 2.
Right.
Gilgad, yes, sir.
So the angel of the Lord is the one with the covenant. And the
Yes,
angel of the Lord is the one right here. In chapter 89, that's the angel of the Lord. Right?
Yes, sir.
So we go back to, with that understanding, go back to Genesis 15, right? And I want to read where I showed you where they're going to be a stranger in the land that's not theirs. It's in the land of Egypt, the land of Ham, is what Joshua says. So then you go to 13, Genesis 15 and 13. And he said unto Abraham, know for surely that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. That's in the land of Egypt. They even tricked us out with this 400-year thing, but it's Egypt. I'm going to show you that in a minute. It says, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. It's the 10 plagues. He judged in the land of Egypt, land of Ham. After that, they shall come out with great stuff that they did. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. Now here go the kicker right here, 16. But in the 4th generation, they shall come hither again. So they came back from the land of Egypt. That's what we're looking at right here. It says, in the 4th generation, they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So that's what we're looking at in chapter 89. Joshua was destroying the Amorites. So, like I said, ain't no Amorites over here. So, when you look at the last verse that you just read, it tell you right there, 54. For 5 years. So, in 5 years, he fulfilled his prophecy in Genesis. He says, for 5 years, Joshua carried on war with these kings, and he gave their cities to the Israelites. And the land became tranquil from battles throughout the cities of the Amorites and the Canaanites. So what we reading is the fulfillment of what was in Genesis chapter 15. It ain't in the King James because they don't want it in there. They want you to go, they want to lead you to JC in the New Testament. But that's what we're looking at right here. What we just got to read is the prophecy being fulfilled from Genesis 15. Okay. All right.
So, Brother Leonard, coming out the gate with verse 1, it said, then spoke Joshua this song. So he was doing the same thing Moses did.
Right. Exactly.
Basically. Yes, sir.
That's what I thought. That's what psalm is. Psalm is a song. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. That's something. So yeah, I'll start reading chapter 90. It says, at that time in the 5th year, after the children of Israel had passed over Jordan, after the children of Israel had rested from their war with the Canaanites, at that time, great and severe battles arose between Edom and the children of Chechem, and the children of Chechem fought against Edom. So let's look at this. So this, like I said, it's missing information when you understand what they've done to our scriptures in the King James. So at the same time, what he told Abraham was going to happen, they were going to go into captivity in Egypt, and then they're going to come out with great substance, and he was going to bring them back to the land that he had promised them, and they were going to take it. And they had to get, in order for them to take it, they had to get rid of the Amorites. All that's in Genesis 15. Prophesied, the Lord of hosts told Abraham that. And then we see the Lord himself is fulfilling it in Joshua 89. But at the same time, while that's going on, check this out. It says, this is chapter 90, verse 1. At that time in the 5th year, so 5 years, verse 54, in chapter 89, 5 years it took them to bring that prophecy to pass. The time of the Amorites. 5 years they were destroying Amorites. Now it says, at that time, in the 5th year, at the end of their prophecy, after the children of Israel had passed over Jordan, after the children of Israel had rested from the war with the Canaanites, after they brought that prophecy to pass, at that time, great and severe battles arose between Edom, right, and the children of Chechem, and the children of Chechem fought against Edom. So this is the 4th beast right here. Chechem is the Romans. Edom is Edomites. So because of this war right here, they fighting against each other. We're gonna see what happened. Verse 2. And Abinas, king of Chechem, went forth in that year, that is in the 31st year of his reign, and a great force with him, and of mighty men of the children of Chechem, giants, mighty men and giants. And he went to Seir, that's Esau, to fight against the children of Esau. And Hadad, the king of Edom, heard of his report, and he went forth to meet him with a heavy people and a strong force, and engaged in battle with him in the fields of Edom. And the hand of Chechem, that's the Romans, the hands of the Chechem. So the Romans, they just pop up out of nowhere. So it says, and the hand of the Chechem prevailed over the children of Esau, and the children of Esau, or the children of Chechem, slew the children of Esau, 220,000 men, and all the children of Esau fled from before them. Now here you go, right here. And the children of Chechem pursued them, and they reached Hadad, king of Edom, who was running before them, and they caught him alive and brought him to Abinas, king of Chechem. and Abanus ordered him to be slain. And Hadad, king of Edom, died in the 48th year of his reign. Now here you go. The children of Chechem continued their pursuit of Edom, and they smote them with a great slaughter. And Edom became subject to the children of Chechem. So they became one people. So the fourth beast is these Edomites and these Romans came together, one people. And the reason being, Esau got the knowledge of the Israelites. He got the knowledge from our culture because he was raised by Abraham. This is how they later after they came together, Chechem subdued them. Now you can't nothing stop them. So it says, children of Chechem ruled over Edom. And Edom became under the hand of the children of Chechem and became one kingdom. From that day on, it became one kingdom. The Romans is Edomites. They all they came together, mingled. So, and from that time, they could no more lift up their heads, and their kingdom became one with the children of Chechem. And Abanus placed officers in Edom, and all the children of Edom became subject and tributary to Abanus. And Abanus turned back to his own land, to Chechem. And when he returned, he renewed his government and built for himself a spacious and fortified palace for a royal resistance, and reigned securely over the children of Chechem and over Edom. So that's where they became strong. Same thing we saw. Lord of Hosts is behind all of it. When you understand what his role is and all this. So we saw the same thing with Nebuchadnezzar. He was a nobody. Then the Lord went and fought with him, and he subdued the Assyrian army. That's how he became powerful. The Lord went and fought with him because he had something for him to do. Same thing right here. This is where it started at. Then we see it later on when the fourth beast come on the scene. Terrible and strong. Okay? It says 12. This is Jasher 90 and 12. In those days, after the children of Israel had driven away all the Canaanites, Amorites, and Joshua was old and advanced in years, the Lord said unto Joshua, thou art old, advanced in life, and a great part of thy land remains to be possessed. Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe of Manasseh. And Joshua rose up and did as the Lord had spoken. And he divided the whole land of the tribes of Israel as an inheritance according to the vision. So let's look at that right quick, because I mentioned this, but I don't think a lot of people are registered. So we see right here the promises that the Lord of Hosts had gave Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob being fulfilled right here when Joshua came in the land. He told them they divided the land up. Well, go back to the prophecy with Esau and Jacob. When Jacob received the blessing, and then Esau came in and found out that Jacob had already received the blessing. And he said, I know you got another blessing for me. So he cried, a bitter cry. And then Isaac told him, just like Jacob, you're going to live in the fat place of the earth. But you're going to live, Jacob going to live there and be blessed with wine and oil, corn and wine and oil from heaven. But he's going to end up in the fat places of the earth. But he's going to be doing it with the sword, bloodshed, right? So let's look at it. So we just saw when Israel divided the land up as it was promised to Abraham. So I'm in Obadiah. This is where the whole academic world throwed off at. So right here, go to Obadiah. Like I said, it's right in your face, but you love JC, you're not gonna deal with it. So in Obadiah, ain't but one chapter. I'm starting at verse 10. It says the Lord is telling Israel that what Esau done to him. Edom, right here. Edom says, for thy violence against thy brother, this is Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Now here you go. In the day that thou stood on the other side, because he next door neighbors. This land is next door to Israel. Says on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, foreigners entered into the gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was one of them. So right here, what I just read up here in 90, right? In 90 of Jasher chapter 90, let me get it. My page flipped over. It says, verse 14, verse 13. And the Lord said to Joshua, thou art old, advanced in life, a great part of the land remains to be possessed. Now, therefore, divide the land. This is by lot. That's what it means. Divide the land for the inheritance of the 9 tribes of the half tribe of Manasseh. And Joshua rose up and did as the Lord had spoken unto him. And he divided the whole land to the tribes of Israel as an inheritance according to their division, according to their lot. Right? So we see right here at the end when Daniel told them the nation of Israel was going to come to an end. The Lord's in his nation and came to a full. He tired of messing with y'all. Right here. It says, verse 11, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, it's Obadiah. In the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, foreigners entered into the gates of Jerusalem, cast lots. Same thing they did with Joshua. Cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was one of them, but thou should not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. That's the prophecy of Daniel. The nation of Israel gonna come to an end. Neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. That's what Daniel had prophesied. Neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of their distress. 13, thou should not have entered into the gates of my people, right? Just like the Israelites did, entered into the land of Canaan, got rid of the Amorites and the Canaanites, then they divided the land up. That was righteous. But here go Esau right here. Thou should not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou should not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their substance. So they came in just like the Israelites did with Joshua and got the land by lot. They came in when the Lord came and brought it and brought punishment on Judge Israel, had cast them out. They came in and stole the land. This is the big drama when you start talking about understanding history. So from this point on right here, like I showed you in the book of Jubilee, First Maccabees, they got the land. They live in there. 143 BC. That's when the nation of Israel was destroyed. Not 70 AD. That's when Esau, after what he done right here, I'm just showing you in Obadiah, after he stole the land and lived there from 143 BC till 70 AD. That was him being kicked out in 70 AD. The Israelites got kicked out right there in Obadiah when Esau stole land by lots, the same way Israel acquired it. And they got it by lots. Same names that the Israelites named the lots. Zebulun and Levi and all of them, the same 12 tribes, the same names, they came in and assumed their identity. So when you get to after 143 BC, them not Israelites in the land. They got our names. Even to this day, they naming their children by Israelite names. You can follow that all the way. Great Britain, America, they're still doing it to this day. Another one of those big lies that's tied to the New Testament. See? So let me keep going. So it says, I'm in Joshua 90 and verse 16. But the tribe of Levi, he gave no inheritance. The offerings of the Lord are their inheritance, as the Lord has spoken of them by the hand of Moses. And Joshua gave Mount Horeb to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, one portion above his brethren, as the Lord had spoken through Moses. Therefore, Abram became an inheritance of Caleb and his children unto this day. And Joshua divided the whole land by lots to all Israel for an inheritance, as the Lord had commanded. So, like I said, they twin boy, they twins, twin boys. So what one you see one do, nothing other gonna come right behind him and do it. So just like Israel came in, got the land, acquired it by lots, he backdoored Israel, and they divided the land by lots. Okay, and then 20. Children of Israel gave cities to the Levites from their own inheritance, and suburbs for their cattle and property, as the Lord had commanded Moses. So did the children of Israel, and they divided the land by lot, whether great or small. And they went to inherit the land according to their boundaries. And the children of Israel gave to Joshua, the son of Nun, an inheritance among them. By the word of the Lord did they give to him the city which he required, Timnath, Sirach, in Mount Ephraim. And he built the city and dwelt therein. These are the inheritance which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun, the heads of the fathers of the tribes, portioned out to the children of Israel by lot in Shiloh before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle, and they left off dividing the land. And the Lord gave the land to the Israelites, and they possessed it as the Lord had spoken to them, and as the Lord had sworn to their ancestors. And the Lord gave to the Israelites rest from all their enemies around them, and no man stood up against them. And the Lord delivered all their enemies in their hands, and not one thing fell of all the goods which the Lord had spoken to the children of Israel. Yea, the Lord performed everything. So here we go, right here. This is, if you're wondering about things to come and you got any doubt about it, it's right here. It says 24. The Lord gave the land up to the Israelites. They possessed it as he had spoken to them, and the Lord had sworn to them. So what he spoke, he brought it to pass. 25. The Lord gave to the Israelites rest. The Lord gave them rest. See that? So if he didn't want nobody to come to the west coast of Africa and get us, they wouldn't have came. He'd cut them off. So it says, the Lord gave to the Israelites rest from all their enemies round about them, and no man stood up against them. So it ain't no coincidence. And the Lord delivered all their enemies in their hands, and not one thing fell of all the good which the Lord had spoken to the children of Israel. Yea, the Lord performed everything. So we, ain't nothing happening on no accident. So, and Joshua called to all the children of Israel, and he blessed them and commanded them to serve the Lord. And he afterwards sent them away, and they went each man to his city, each man to his inheritance. And the children of Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and the Lord gave them rest from all around them, and they dwelt securely in their cities. And it came to pass. So notice right here, the same thing is getting ready to happen. Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38. He came, got us like he did right here, and brought us back, and we dwelling safely in our cities. And that's why he asked the question: do you not know that the Lord is the doings of the Lord? They dwelling safely. So ain't nothing new under the sun. 27. Read it again. The children of Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and the Lord gave them rest from all of them, from all around them, and they dwell securely in their cities. That's what we're going to be doing in Ezekiel 38. Dwelling safely, the cities without walls. So you got to be a nut bucket to come messing with us. So anyway, and it came to pass in those days that Abinus, king of Chittim, died in the 38th year of his reign, and in his 7th year of his reign over Edom, and they buried him in a place which he had built for himself. And Latinus reigned in his stead 50 years. And during his reign, he brought forth an army, and he went and fought against the inhabitants of Britannica and Carmina, and the children of Elisha, son of Javan, and they prevailed over them, and they made them tributaries. So notice, look right here. It says, and they fought against Britannica. That's Great Britain. So there ain't no coincidence. Like I told you, when the 13 colonies, them was Edomites. And I told you the 4th beast was able to transform itself. It moved around. So it's going to transform itself 10 different times. One time, one of them is Britain. Then we seen a group of people branched off of Britain and came to America. It transformed itself again. We're looking at it do it again right now with China. They went over there and set everything up over in China with the same companies that brought America to power. They moved them in the 90s and sent them to China. So China ain't pop up on no accident. It's Esau behind the scenes. So now all of a sudden, we see China then rolls up. They don't need America no more. Just like when they sent them to people over here to America, after America got right, they ain't needed Britain no more. So the powers that be did a slow demo job on Great Britain the way it's at today. So we see the same thing happening now here. We're looking at the final incarnation of the 4th beast. Right? So it says 30. He then heard that Edom had revoked from under the hand of Checham, and Latinus went to them and smote them and subdued them and placed them under the hands of the children of Checham, and Edom became one kingdom with the children of Checham all the days. So Rome and Edom was the same people. And for many years, there was no king in Edom, and their government was with the children of Checham and their king. And it was in the 26th year after the children of Israel had passed Jordan, that in the 66th year after the children of Israel had departed from Egypt, and Joshua was old, advanced in years, being 180 years old in those days. And Joshua called to all Israel, to their elders, their judges, and their officers, after the Lord had given to all the Israelites rest from all their enemies round about. And Joshua said to the elders of Israel, to their judges, behold, so we know what's coming next, judges, right? After Joshua died, judges took over. Behold, I am old, advanced in years, and ye have seen what the Lord have done to all the nations whom he has driven away from before you. For it is the Lord who has fought for you. See that? It's the Lord who has fought for you. That's what they understood that. We've been tricked out with King James and the New Testament and all that. We don't know that. But he's telling you right here, it's the Lord who has fought for you. Our forefathers knew that, right? 34. Now, therefore, strengthen yourselves to keep and to do all the words of the law of Moses, not to deviate from it to the right hand or to the left, and not to come among those nations who are left in your hand. See that? Neither shall ye make mention of the name of their gods, but ye shall cleave to the Lord your God, as you have done to this day. And Joshua greatly exalted the children of Israel to serve the Lord all their days. And all the Israelites said, we will serve the Lord our God all our days, and we and our children and our children's children and our seed forever. They didn't keep that, right? And Joshua made a covenant with the people on that day, and he sent away the children of Israel, and they went, each man to his inheritance and to his city. And it was in those days when the children of Israel, here you go again, it was in those days when the children of Israel was dwelling safely in their cities that they buried the coffins of the tribes of the ancestors. So, like I said, these are people, this the original sons of Jacob that died in Egypt. Joseph, one of them, right here. And they buried the coffins of the tribes of their ancestors, which they had brought up from Egypt, each man in his inheritance of his children. The 12 sons of Jacob did the children of Israel bury. See that? I ain't write it. The 12 sons of Israel did they bury, each man in possession of his children. So everybody trying to figure out where the land of Israel is. Well, Ezekiel 37, that's what he's talking about. We're going to dry bones in the valley. We're going to raise them up. We're going to know right where it's at. That's where the grave's at. Okay? 38. It was in those days when the children of Israel were dwelling securely in their cities that they buried the coffins of the tribes of their ancestors, which they had brought up from Egypt, each man in his inheritance of his children. And the 12 sons of Jacob did the children of Israel bury, each man in his possession of his children. So let's look at that. Like I was saying, it's so much stuff that once you find out about it, it just sticks out. So this is what Nehemiah talking about. Let's go to Nehemiah right quick. Okay. Nehemiah, let me get it. Nehemiah chapter 2, I think it is. Nehemiah chapter 2. So Nehemiah was a cupbearer for the king. And I'm in Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 1. It came to pass in the month of Nisan, and they're in captivity in Babylon and Persia, right? It says, it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, king, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine. So he the cupbearer, he got to taste the wine before the king tastes, in case it been poisoned, and gave it unto the king. Now I had been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy presence sad? Why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then was I very sore afraid. So he got a sorrow of heart, downtrodden. 3, and said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad? Here you go. This is why he said, why should not my countenance be sad when the city, Jerusalem, the place of my father's sepulchres, that's what they just buried, the 12 sons of Jacob, right? My father's sepulchres lie waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire. So what is he saying? He's saying they already know. There wasn't no JC, wasn't no sun here, no bushes nowhere. They knew, like Joshua just told them, it's the Lord that fought for you. So they knew the Lord already told them he was going to come back and raise them up. So they marching in these graves. They keeping the graves up for that day when he's going to come and raise them up. Let me read it again. He says, verse 2, wherefore the king said unto me, to Nehemiah, why is thy countenance sad, seeing that thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then was I so afraid. And I said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres lie waste? I'm not able to maintain them. I'm not able to keep a guard over them until what the Lord told us happened. So he says they lie waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire. And then 4, the king said unto me, for what doest thou make a request? So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said unto the king, if it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, graves, that I may build it. See that? I go maintain the graves. JC ain't in there nowhere. Okay? Wasn't no prophecy about no JC coming. Okay? So let me get back over where I was at. So 38. And it was, I'm in Jasher 90 and 38. And it was in those days when children of Israel were dwelling security in their cities, that they buried the coffins of their tribes of their ancestors, which they had brought up from Egypt, each man in the inheritance of his children. And the 12 sons of Jacob did the children of Israel bury, each man in the possession of his children. And these are the names of the cities wherein they buried the 12 sons of Jacob, whom the children of Israel had brought up out of Egypt. And they buried Reuben and Gad on this side of the Jordan in Ramah, which Moses had given to their children. And Simeon and Levi they buried in the city of Muda, which he had given to the children of Simeon, and the suburbs of the city was for the children of Levi. In Judah they buried in the city of Benjamin, opposite Bethlehem. And the bones of Issachar and Zebulun they buried in Zidon, in the portion which fell to their children. And Dan was buried in the city of his children in Esco. And Naphtali and Asher they buried in Kedesh Naphtali, each man in his own place which he had given to his children. And the bones of Joseph they buried in Shechem, and placed the field which Jacob had purchased from Hamor, and which became Joseph for an inheritance. And they buried Benjamin in Jerusalem, opposite the Jebusites, which was given to the children of Benjamin. And the children of Israel buried their fathers, each man in the city of his children. And at the end of 2 years, Joshua the son of Nun died, 110 years old. And the time which Joshua judged Israel was 28 years. And Israel served the Lord all days of his life. And in the other affairs of Joshua and his battles and his reproof with which he reproved Israel, and all which he had commanded them, and the names of the cities which the children of Israel possessed in his days, behold, they are written in the book of the words of Joshua to the children of Israel, and in the books of the wars of the Lord, which Moses and Joshua, the children of Israel, had written. And the children of Israel buried Joshua in the borders of his inheritance in Timnath-Serah, which is given to him in Mount Ephraim. And Eleazar the son of Aaron died in those days. Everybody gone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So with that being said, we say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. We had a little technical difficulties at the end. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.